Hello and welcome to another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic, brought to you by ChiroSecure. I'm your host, Dr. Cathy Wendland, and today I'm going to talk to you about a topic that's a little bit more challenging and very near and dear, unfortunately, to my heart, and that is the medical emergency and your chiropractic philosophy. So today I want to talk to you about how do you make the choice, or sometimes it's not actually a choice, of going the medical route, and how does that fit in with your philosophy? Now, in the event of a medical emergency, we understand that sometimes life has limitations and the body has limitations, and there are limitations to matter. And sometimes it's not actually a choice, it's a necessity or a requirement or an obligation to go the medical route. And when that happens, so often I've talked to patients in pregnancy situations, or in difficulty conceiving a child, or in birth situations where the medical route has to be obtained. It has to be perused. They have to go down that journey because there is a medical requirement or a medical emergency. And how do you deal with that while still maintaining your chiropractic philosophy? Well, one of the things I've talked to women about for many, many years is that when you have your strong philosophical base, that's the ground upon which you stand. And when you stand on solid ground, even when the world is trying to rock you back and forth, if you're standing on a rock, a very solid rock, you're able to plant your feet firmly and understand that while I may have to sway a little bit, I'm still going to stand tall in my roots, and I'm still going to stand true to what I believe. And I may need to use other options momentarily, but I'll always come back to my roots. That has benefited so many people in our profession and so many of our patients, to know that when you have that strong philosophical base, when you know that you know that you know that the body needs no help, just no interference. When you know that the body is a self-regulating, self-healing organism, that we just have to allow it to do what it needs to do. When we come from that ground, from that standpoint, from that philosophy, it's a lot easier to be able to weather the storms, because the storms do and will come. And maybe, hopefully for most of us, we'll never experience them personally, but our patients may, and our family members may. And when those storms do come, we have to be like the palm trees that can bend and sway as the storm is coming, but still hold true to their roots, so that we don't bend and break, and so that we don't get completely knocked over, so that we don't completely fall off of our foundation. But we learn that sometimes we do have to bend and sway. And one of the things that I remember always hearing and always being taught as a student and at seminars is that there are limitations to matter. And sometimes we do need other options. But as so many of you have lived your life and have said many, many times, God, family, chiropractic. And when we follow that order and we really take care of ourselves and we do things that are in our best interest, when an emergency situation does come up, it is heart-wrenching and it is difficult. And it is hard to accept that there may be a time and a place that crisis care or interventions are necessary. And for our children, that becomes very difficult if they've been raised in this mindset and they've been raised in this model, and they have a strong philosophical base and they have a strong hold to our paradigm. It may be difficult for them to understand why we need outside intervention when they've been taught their whole lives that we live an inside out lifestyle. So it is important to hold true to your philosophical base. But as so many chiropractors poured into me recently and poured into my daughter, for those of you that don't know the situation, I'll talk about that in a moment. There are times when help is necessary. And there are times when we need to not only ask for help, but accept help. And that goes for ourselves, that goes for our children, that goes for our bodies, that goes for our situations that we may find ourselves in. And when we understand our principle, our philosophy that, life flows from above down, inside out, but at times there may be a crisis that requires extra help. We have to be able to have those conversations with our loved ones, with our patients, with our family members, sometimes even with ourselves, that we've done all that we can do. And right now, there is a limitation to matter. We're not starfish. we don't grow back a limb when one is cut off. We can't always fix everything with positive mindset, affirmations, visualizations, the chiropractic adjustment, eating right. Now, can we keep ourselves healthy? Yes. And that's what the chiropractic philosophy is about. That's why we don't talk about how we cure anything. What we do is detect and correct vertebral subluxations. We adjust the subluxation to allow for the restoration of health. And sometimes that's just not sufficient because there's something more dangerous or more gravitas going on that needs additional help. So, for those of you that have reached out and asked about my daughter, or for those of you who maybe don't know, my 11-year-old daughter is born at home, chiropractic philosophy, never been inside of a medical office, has only been adjusted her entire life. She's been to dentists and she's been to chiropractic offices. And she's been to every seminar. Most of you have met her. So she fully embodies innate potential and she fully embodies the chiropractic philosophy. And she gets this mindset and she talks about it and teaches it to her friends that life is for the living and that what life flows from above down, inside out, and that the body needs no help, just no interference. But we took a routine set of x-rays on her to determine when she'd be ready for braces because my son was starting his braces. And we found out that her wisdom teeth were growing over the molars and were ultimately pushing the molars down into the jawbone, which were causing the molars to start to hook into the jawbone. And much like a molly bracket that you would use to hang something heavy on your wall, those roots of the teeth would eventually start to take a hold into the jawbone. And if you've ever put a molly bracket in your sheetrock, you know that the only way to get it out is to basically yank it out and put a big hole in the sheetrock. And that's what we were facing with her jawbone. So the only option was to hurry up and remove the wisdom teeth and upright the molars before they were fully entrenched into the jawbone, causing jaw damage and ultimately bone graft surgery every time she grew. So we did that. Unfortunately, she ended up with an abscess because her body's so strong and her immune system is so amazing. And she just healed so quickly, as most children do, that she sealed up the opening and kept an infection inside. And we had it removed, cleaned out, it came back. We ultimately ended up in the emergency room, transferred to a children's hospital where she had 4 surgeries total in 3 weeks. It was a very devastating situation, having to put her on antibiotics and pain medicine, all of which she didn't want to take. She was very adamant that she trusted her body and her body was brilliant and she trusted her innate and she didn't understand why we had to do these things. So we involved her in every conversation with the surgeons and the medical team and the infectious disease. She participated in all those conversations and I made sure that she ultimately felt empowered to help make those decisions because ultimately I wanted her to feel empowered and I wanted her to feel strong and I wanted her to still embody those principles that we taught. She and my son and my patients, and I know your family members and your patients, you have instilled those mindsets, those philosophies, our paradigm in them to understand that the body is strong and it is capable and it knows what to do. Just like when I've been so blessed to talk to so many of you and the women in our profession and your patients about natural pregnancy, natural birth, natural parenting, and instilled in those women the idea that your body knows how to birth a baby. We don't need medical intervention unless it's an emergency situation. And so we have had those conversations. I know you have had those conversations. And it's important to remind ourselves in those moments that while we do stand firm on our philosophy and chiropractic is our choice, it is our healthcare choice, and it is our model, our paradigm, it is the way we raise our families, sometimes there are limitations to matter. We have a wonderful colleague in our profession who is dealing with a heart issue right now, and it's a congenital heart issue that needs surgical intervention. And so we pray for them and we send our love and we send our healing energy that direction. But sometimes we do need additional support. And so when it comes time for you or someone in your family or one of your patients to have to go this route and make these decisions, it's important to not make someone feel like they're making a bad decision, or make them feel like their body is not smart, or their body's not capable, or that their body is not strong. Because after all, that's what has been pushed upon women for generations when it comes to the birth process, that their body's not strong, it's not smart, it's not capable, that they need a team of doctors and surgeons to oversee the birth of their baby months before their baby is even due, so that we can steer them down a medical route. And I've talked about this for many, many years. Why do we meet with an obstetrical surgeon 9 months before the baby is born to start preparing women mentally that you may need this team of doctors and surgeons, when what we should be doing is empowering women that their body is smart, brilliant, capable, their innate intelligence knows how to make a human being from one cell from mom and one cell from dad, and create a perfect living human being that will know how to grow and develop inside that womb, and will know when it's time to be born. Right? And we teach women that concept, and we teach our children that concept, and we teach our patients that concept, and we live and breathe and embody that concept. So it is a little bit difficult, and it is a little bit trying, and it is extremely emotional when you or someone has to cross that threshold into a world that we don't exist in, into a world that we've chosen not to participate in. And I will tell you that there were so many tears shed about having to enter into a medical world, and having to enter into what I consider to be a merry-go-round, or an up and down roller coaster that we've intentionally steered clear of for so many years. Now, when this happens to you, I assure you that your community will pour love all over you. Like, I am just absolutely honored, humbled, and blown away by how so many in our profession, and so many of our patients and colleagues and friends have just poured their love all over myself, my daughter, and my son. But somebody somewhere may say something that just gets to you. They may ask, how could you go that route? Or why would you need to go that route? Or why would anyone need a medical intervention if they're under chiropractic care? Because doesn't chiropractic fix everything? Doesn't chiropractic cure everything? Isn't chiropractic the answer to everything? Nothing is bigger than life. And the big idea is the biggest idea that we know. But nothing in the green books, and nothing in most of the seminars that I've attended, and nothing in my education ever said that we are the end all be all. We want to be the primary choice. We want to be the philosophy. We want to be the lifestyle that we embody, and we hope that our communities will embody. But we understand that, sometimes people don't live a healthy lifestyle. Sometimes people don't have an active lifestyle. Sometimes people's work schedule, it causes them to be more sedentary than they would like. And sometimes they just don't have the time, the energy, or the desire to make the healthcare choices that would serve them the best. And sometimes situations arise where there is an emergency, where there is a sports injury, or a car accident, or a congenital anomaly that was unknown, or there's something going on that just absolutely requires a medical intervention. And so when your patients, or your community, or somebody reaches out to you and asks you, if chiropractic works so well, why would you need a medical intervention ever? Well, because it's not a one size fits all, right? And it's not the end all be all. We live by the chiropractic lifestyle. We embody that. You embody that. You live by that lifestyle. But explain to those people, and lovingly explain to your patients, that while we do profess this, and while we do live this, and while we do embody this, we understand that, there are exceptions to the rule. I can't just drink good water and eat healthy fruits and vegetables and expect everything to be perfect. I also need sleep. I also need a positive mental attitude. I also need to get adjusted. I also need to keep my nervous system functioning at its greatest capacity. But if there's an infection in the body, usually the immune system can fight it. And sometimes we need a little bit of help. And those emergency situations are there for that reason. And when we rely on the emergency situation for emergencies, it does what it was designed to do. Let's just not make the slip and start living as if that's the only way to take care of things in our life. We know that we have to live right. We know that we have to eat clean. We know that we have to drink. Right now, my daughter has been covered in prayer every night as she's sleeping. I am reading all of your beautiful words and prayers to her. And I thank all of you so much. But I want you to know that while I never imagined this happening in our lifetime, and I certainly was never prepared for this to happen. I mean, we didn't even have insurance because my children get adjusted, right? She's a home birth. We couldn't get insurance. They claim she's not a US citizen because there's no hospital birth, right? So we didn't have insurance because we didn't plan for this. But mentally, we've been preparing ourselves to keep our bodies healthy. And physically, I know you have been doing the same thing mentally, physically, emotionally. You've been preparing yourselves, preparing your families, and preparing your community, your patients, your staff to do the best that they can, to live with a positive attitude, to not always look for the doom and gloom in life, but to basically go forth with that positive attitude that I can, I will, and I must. One of the affirmations that we utilized so much in our 8 days in the hospital, and I've utilized and taught to so many people because it was taught to me, is Dr. Sid's affirmation. And Dr. Sid taught us this affirmation that I absolutely love and use. And this is for you right now. I am healthy. Every cell of my body is healthy. Right now, right this minute, I am healthy. I do not need to become healthy. I am healthy and I am happy. Every cell of my body is happy. From the top of my head to the tips of my toes, I am happy. We used that affirmation to conceive our son. We used that affirmation with my children their whole life. We used that affirmation in the children's hospital with my daughter, and we've used that affirmation every day since, just to continue to reaffirm that our bodies are smart and capable. And with the chiropractic adjustment, we can restore health. We can remove interference. We can allow the brain cell and the tissue cell to communicate so that life can be expressed at its fullest potential. And as we come into the Christmas season, and it's only days away, and we come into the end of the year and the happiness of looking forward to a new year, I want you to know that the darkest night was just 2-3 days ago, right? That winter solstice, the darkest night has passed. And each day we get an extra minute or two of light, an extra amount of time to rejoice. We get extra love, extra sunshine, extra happiness. And as you come into the new year, I want you to embody not only the chiropractic mindset, but the vision of hope, the ability to care about other people. The greatest gift that we have, even greater than the gift of chiropractic, is the gift of love. And to be able to give our love freely to other people with no expectation in return, to give, to love, and to serve from our own abundance with no expectation of return. That is the lasting purpose that was instilled in me as a student. That is the lasting purpose that so many in our profession share with their families and their communities. And it is what I truly believe is going to help all of us in this next year to live in a sense of abundance, an abundance of health, an abundance of love, an abundance of community, an abundance of support, an abundance of people lifting each other up, because many hands make light work. And when we live in a state of abundance and when we give freely from our own abundance, we are fulfilled. One of the things I have always believed from Dr. Sid is that we are a hollow vessel, that love, innate intelligence, life force, it flows through us and needs to flow out. And the more we allow it to continue flowing through us and out to those around us, the more our cup is refilled. But if we hold on to it, then our cup is so full we can't accept anymore. Be that hollow vessel. Allow it to just completely flow through you and out to everyone that you encounter. And as my good friend Dr. Sharon Gorman always says, you cannot outgive the giver. So in this season of hope and love and giving and rebirth, I want you to remember that what you say matters. What you do in your offices matters. The love, the life, the blessings that you bestow on other people are gifts that they may not be ready to receive, but keep giving them, because we have to learn how to accept help. We have to learn how to give help. We have to learn how to give and receive, and life will give us lessons to make sure that we continue to learn that. So when it comes to anyone you know having to face a medical emergency, understand that if we can keep them adjusted as frequently as possible as they're going through this challenge, we will give their body the best ability to stay healthy. If we pour out love and blessings on them, if we pray over them, if we make sure that they are nourished and they're able to sleep and rest and still embody those 5 pillars of health that we've always talked about, that my good friend Dr. Brian Stensler recently wrote the Dream Lifestyle book, which is diet, rest, exercise, attitude, and mental impulse free to flow in that body. If we continue to bless each other with those 5 pillars of health and make sure that we do what we do best, which is detect and correct the vertebral subluxation, then we can trust that our patients and our family will be able to weather any storm that comes to them like a palm tree that can bend and sway and return to its strong roots. So I want to say a tremendous thank you to ChiroSecure for all they've done for women in chiropractic for the past several years through the Empowering Women in Chiropractic webinar series, which has just brought so many amazing hosts and guests to all of us so that we can learn, grow, and benefit and share this information with our communities. I want to say thank you to the chiropractors watching right now or watching on the replay for what you do every day in your communities, because I assure you it matters. You are changing lives. You are giving your families and your community hope. You are giving them help. You are giving them a positive outlook, and you are impacting their lives on such an amazingly grand scale that you probably will never even understand. We plant the seeds for the trees under whose shade we may never sit. Keep planting those trees, ladies. I am so grateful and appreciative to you for what you do, and I look forward to sharing stories, hopefully hugging you in person in the very, very near future, and learning and growing together with you in the new year. Blessings to all of you. Thank you so much. Much love and appreciation, and I look forward to seeing you on another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. Bye-bye, everybody.
Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. We hope you enjoyed this week's Facebook Live event. Please like us on Facebook, comment, and share. We look forward to seeing all of you next week for another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. Now, go ahead and hit the share button and tell your friends and colleagues about the show. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. This has been a ChiroSecure production.